Hello and welcome to a game called Software Incorporated, where you are the CEO of your own software company. You will need to manage all aspects of your company, everything from building out your office that your employees will work in, making sure that they're comfortable in the environment that they're in. You'll also need to design, develop, debug, and support software of your design and kind of your push of where you want your company to go. There's a wide variety of different angles you can take for everything from operating systems to audio tools to 2D graphics and 3D graphics, and for really some good aspects to the game. There's ways you can help other companies succeed in what they're doing by handling deals, working on contracts, things like that. So we're going to kind of jump right in here and we'll get our company started here, and we'll look at a design of a building. We'll get that going, and then potentially even possibly hire our first employee in this video. We'll have to see how everything goes. So without further ado, one quick note on this one here. The game is currently out on Steam in early release. The link to the game will be in the description below. The current alpha that has been released in the full effect is Alpha 8. We are currently in the testing branch of Alpha 9. As you can kind of see in the lower corner here, we're on 9.7.6 in its release currently. There's a lot of great aspects that they put into the game, just changing a little bit of the mechanics. So far it has been fantastic to play through, and just really wanted to get into the game and get a series going for you guys, and we can walk through these. The developers done fantastic on taking our feedback and correcting bugs and issues that have come up, rebalancing things, and we're just definitely looking forward to the full alpha release of 9 that we're going through here. So without further ado this time, let's start this game up. Okay, so here's just the basic. This is your CEO. This will be your character as you're going through the game. He will kind of just push everything along initially, and then we'll hire some more employees. You can train them, as you can see down here, in leadership and programming, design, art, and marketing. There's different areas of specialization you can go into. These will really help in the actual work and development of contracts initially at the very start. So we're going to name our company here. So let's do Mazda Software, and then our name. Let's see, let's do a good old generic name. How about that? We'll just do Rick. So we can zoom in on our character here. You can change all aspects of this character, everything from the jaw height. You can really get creative with how you want this person to look. The width of the jaw, more squared, more rounded. So you can actually spend a good bit of time really working on your character, how you want him to look, him or her. Right now this is just the male character. You can do female characters in here. We'll zoom back out so you can kind of see outfits change. And so a lot of times I'll just kind of randomize it and see what kind of character we get here. And I generally go for more generic character overall. I mean, the physical attributes aren't anything too crazy, anything too great. A lot of what you really want to watch out for is their actual personality traits, the combination of these two. If they're very highly social, you need to make sure that they're in an environment where they're very happy. If they're more independent, it also has its downsides too. So if you have more social coworkers and you're not ever paying attention, they may not like the team they're on. So there's a lot of things that can play into it just in any work environment. As you're out and about, as you're going from job to job, there's different things like that you'll deal with all sorts of people. So very similar baked into this game as well, which is fantastic. You can go in here, everything from hats to different style hair, clothing you can change up if you want to be in a suit. Go like that. You can change the color of everything too. That's when you get towards the end here. You want if their glasses on them or not. And then, so yeah, like the legs. Here's where we can go. I want black pants. Shoes will be a bit lighter. There we go. Let's do something more like I don't know, kind of it's almost like a rose. I don't really quite want a rose color. Let's go right in there. There we go. We'll apply that. Let's do the torso here real quick. So we got a green shirt. You know what? A red shirt. Yeah, let's do a red shirt like that. The suit. I've always been a fan of black suits. That is really, really dark. Let's go. It's almost got a purple hue to it. I don't know if I want. And there we go. Red shirt. Almost looks like a dark blue jean jacket. Pull a little bit of the 80s out in here, I guess. Anyway, so let's see. That's plenty for that. Let's take a look at some of these characteristics here. So everything from generous to flirt, naive, introvert, as you can see, will drop some of these traits down. So they're actually more like centered. A lot of times I really like my CEO as I've seen it so far. I mean, fast learner is great because they learn the different skills because you're the sole person to do marketing, to do design, to do art, to do everything in the very beginning. So usually leaning on the fast learner side is not too bad. Stress is, you don't really want them to be lazy. I mean, a lazy employee is just, they're going to complain a lot. They're going to want to leave early. They always feel overworked, so that can be troublesome. If they're overstressed, they'll also stop working because they feel too stressed out and overwhelmed. So really trying to keep that between lazy and stressed as close to these like middle three here is where I try to keep everybody. But as you have people, as you hire people, there's some that have really, really good traits in their specialization, but you'll have to deal with a little bit of these issues. It's very manageable overall in the game, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. So I'll actually leave them an optimistic introvert. That would be interesting. So we're going to leave the art. I'm going to go with audio. We're going to leave system and system for the code. There's a variety of things you can focus on in here. System overall in the very beginning is a great start. That's what a lot of your basic applications, as we'll cover, our starting year is in 1980. That's up over here in the corner. So a lot of them was like command line applications. There wasn't any GUIs or art. It was all text-based at that time. So being set on system is really not a bad thing initially at the start, but you're gonna have to make sure the people you hire, you have a really nice balance of their traits, or else you need to send them for education, which takes them out of doing work and for the company at that point, but it also gets them up to speed on doing development and not bringing anything back or adding additional bugs to the applications and the things that you're working on. So typical, this is kind of just a very typical start of this scenario here. I usually always start on free play. But $10,000 is a good starting money. I mean, you can go crazy and go 500,000. You really, really go crazy in building things out, hiring people, and starting out something pretty fast if you do that. I kind of really like the $10,000 start. It doesn't let you start too big, but you can definitely get a good foot of your company. You can get your company started and get things going well. So let's see. There's no real major goals yet. Again, this is an alpha. It's early in the process, so those things will come later as there's additional development. But nothing major here. A lot of it's just a matter of getting a really good fan base. Potentially buying stock in other companies, which we'll review all this stuff as we get into the game. In the environment, we're going to go with the forest. Make sure there's a little bit of trees and kind of feel like we're out in the country a little bit. Difficulty medium. I've always played it on medium. I can't say I've seen any major issue. I don't really know if it's any need to go as far as easy. But if you do pick up the game, try it out on the different settings and kind of get your take on what you feel works best for your skill set. I mean, I started when I first played the game on medium, and I've always kind of played it there. So even learning it challenged me a little bit in the beginning to understand some of the mechanics, but it was fun to kind of go through that way. But there are mods. This is a vanilla playthrough of this. I'm not using any mods currently or anything. There is a variety of them out in the Steam Workshop and everything for some of the creators out there, and they've done some really amazing things. You can do everything from like I think I saw there's like an NTT data center. There's been the new Apple building. I think they're building out in California. So there's amazing architecture people have put in place, which is really, really cool. But well, with all that being said, let's jump in here and we'll get this started. Okay, so it's 1980. We are going to pause it here real quick. We're going to actually build out our first building. So the mechanics are overall pretty simple. You can kind of rotate things up and down. You can go forward and backward. Very typical overall controls to the game. We're going to jump into the build menu here. So this is the initial plot of land that you have to work with for your company to start. So trees, I mean, you don't have to worry about that. It's not like you have to have someone come in and actually do it. As soon as you put a building up, the tree will go away. So you don't have to ever really worry about the environment that way. You can purchase additional space, just click and drag. And I want to say, I can't remember offhand. We'll actually expand probably in a couple videos from now, but we'll see. We'll bring that out and you can see it's some minimal cost to actually do it. But there's actually a bus stop right here in the very front. This is where our CEO will come in initially until we actually build out a parking lot. Parking lots aren't necessary in the very beginning of the game, so it's nothing you really have to worry about in that respect. So let's see, here we go. Let's put up some basic walls here. I always like to start in the far corner over here, just because as you're building out, it really just kind of keeps things, in my eyes, a bit more organized. But I know there are some people out there that if you build something that's a little off center, they usually lose their mind a little bit, which is sometimes interesting. But there's some things we can just do clever with design. We'll show you how to kind of reduce the grid pattern, and that's where you can really get things that just don't sit symmetrical, and it can cause some issues depending on what you're trying to put up. But so we're just going to do a basic building here. This doesn't have to be anything huge because it's one guy. We have 10 grand, so I'm going to start as a 5x4 building. So there's our initial building. We can customize the look and feel of the building. So the exterior, we can put, we'll do a brick exterior. And we can also color them and everything that way too, so we'll look at that here in a minute. Interior, as you can see, there's not a ton of different designs quite yet, but I do really see that changing here in the future. So let's do kind of a little edgy design that way. And the flooring, let's do not checkerboard. That would be crazy, but you know, I'll show you what the checkerboard looks like because we can always change. It doesn't cost us anything to do that. So let's back this up a little bit. So as you can see here, the walls have their color, checkerboard on the floor, nothing too crazy. I personally don't care for the checkerboard on the floor. That would drive my eyes crazy after a while. But we will do a, so some like longboard. It's almost kind of like hardwood. We'll do some colors real quick. So flooring, definitely want to go here now. Where's a, it's more in the red. Ah, there we go. Yeah, let's do kind of what looks like a nice hardwood floor. It's got a little bit of an orange tint to it, but we can work with that. Interior, bright gray. No, oof, gotta be just horrible. Oof. I don't know, something. Let's see, let's do, I really don't want to do white. That would be, I don't know if I would care for that. Let's do something with a little bit of tint to it. Sure, we'll go with that. Kind of like an off-white color. And brick. It's red. Let's put a good old red exterior on there. Okay, so just a little bit of a basic, nothing crazy design. Got to put a front door on so people can come in and see us. Boom. And certain doors, like this door here, has a glass. It's a glass door, so it'll actually let light in. There's some pretty decent mechanics when it comes to that in the game. So it works out pretty nice when you're trying to light a room. You can actually put some windows in and things like that to help bring in light, as opposed to putting a light overhead. If you have people working through the night, they're going to complain that they can't see, So you don't really want to not put a light in a room because you have windows. Overnight work can cause issues there. But so let's jump up here. We have basic door. Let's go over here and there we go. There's our interior items. We're going to put a table up. This is going to be our desk, like that. He's our CEO. We're gonna spend the money and give him a nice chair. Ooh, good old computers. Kind of reminds me of the old Apple IIe's from back in the day. So as you can see, so now that we have a space in here for someone to sit, it'll give you a couple different messages if there's issues that need to be taken care of. So for example, temperature. We don't have any heating or cooling in here, as well as there's no light. So again, as we were talking about, light can definitely cause an issue. You can add windows or lamps. I typically in the start will just put a single overhead lamp like that in. See, now you can see the error for the light went out. So now we're going to throw some heat, and we have to do a vent so that the room just doesn't bake. Where it is, so right here we can say, nope, vent. There we are. So there's the vent for ventilation, and there's your ventilation. So you have heat and ventilation. So now we have a temperature controlled room. So you can pretty much start your actual company right here with that. Very minimal. One thing that your person will complain about, you always want to have, I know me personally, if I came in the morning, I always like to have my cup of coffee. So we'll put a table over here in the corner, and there's a coffee. So a couple different things here. So as you can see, like instant coffee, for example, has medium quality. It's loud. Durability is 3 months. So it'll start to degrade and break down, and you have to hire maintenance to come in to actually fix the items in your office. So a lot of it too, as you can see, a regular coffee machine, again, is louder, but the quality is higher, so it makes your people happier that they've got regular coffee. Or, as you can see, an espresso machine, really high quality, except it's very, very loud, but it increases the environment. So there is a rating I'll show you here in a minute for the actual environment that they're in. The better the rating is, obviously, the better they're going to enjoy the environment and they won't complain as much. So we're just going to start with a regular coffee pot in the corner here. And then we have vending, just in case they want a snack. In real life, I really wish a vending machine only cost $250. They're way more expensive than that. So that is pretty much your basic office. So as we jump in here, for example, because we haven't actually run the game, even though we have heating, it'll regulate the rooms to, I want to say 70 degrees. There's other fans and stuff that will lower the room, like as we get into like a server farm style and things like that. We'll build that out, and there's some of these ventilation fans here will super reduce the temperature roughly to about 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So this will tell you the lighting, 320 lumens. I'm pretty sure that's what the LUX is for, but anyway, correct me if I'm wrong there. I probably am on that because I'm already second guessing it. Anyway, so your 105% is your environment. As you add things, like there's picture, is it art? Ooh, what is it listed under? I thought it was either painting or art. Oh, right there. Painting. Oh, I just said art. I didn't say painting. So this will help increase the environment. So as you can see, we're at 105% now. If I put some art in here, as you can see, we went up to 131. That always helps things there. I love the descriptions. I love pointing this out when to anybody who's looking at the game with me. A clock, a time machine, but not an actual time machine. So I do love the humor that they put into the game. It's just a really, really nice touch. As you can see, even the clock raises the actual environment to be even more. So always very helpful. The happier they can be. Now the one thing that is kind of interesting, I think they will probably fix later as we go in the game, but your CEO actually never uses the restroom. So initially out the gate, you do not have to put a bathroom in. I always thought it was kind of funny because, I mean, I would personally want to use the bathroom. We will put in a quick bathroom here. Obviously, we're gonna have to put some walls around it because no one really wants to use the bathroom in front of everybody. So I was just doing that initially because it's easier to place the items you want down, and then we'll go back here and put a quick wall and door in. Boom. That's not accessible from the outside. So yeah, of course we haven't put a door in. Okay, so now let's go over here to doors. Put a basic door in. Oh, I did it again. I made it too small. So as you can see, if you do mess something up, you can always just right click. You can actually dismantle it, which will take the door off. What we're gonna do is actually, I need to bring this up. We are going to merge these two rooms together. And I thought I selected it. There it goes. Now we can merge them together. Easy way to get rid of the wall. I need to go out an extra block. Made it just a little bit too small. I'm gonna go here, there, to there. Now when we go to throw the door on, they should be happy. So each room individually, if you wanted to, we could actually go in here and change the interior wall. So if you wanted to be the ocean in the bathroom, you can do that. It's kind of hard to see. You can see it a little bit right there. So you can actually get very customized. You can change colors in each individual room. A lot of times that's nice as your buildings get bigger, to actually change kind of the design to the room. So, you know, marketing has this design here, or design has the wave, and then as you're going through, it's just a quick glance at what's going on in each room. So so there's our basic office. We're going to start with that there. These buttons here, you can actually set, you can actually double the size of the grid, you can half it. This is where you can start to get really clever in your design, because you can get things really close or not as close, and then you can really get finite with it, and it's how close everything sits. So now the problem being is when you place something here and then you bring the grid back to normal, things will sit because they can sit like right along this line here, which doesn't match up to the grid anymore, and that's where things are just a little bit off center. And I've seen some other playthroughs of people out there where there's a lot of people who went a little crazy about how symmetrical everything was, and there's a certain amount of symmetry I do like to put in the buildings. Other than that, I do like to get a little creative with each if there's something that works out best for a group. If I can throw like a meeting room on one floor with the group of people but not on another, I do like doing those kind of things. So the only other thing I want to say we're missing in here right now is some windows. We only have that one door. So one really nice thing that they added with this is if you hold down the left control button, you can make a window that is the size of the side of the building. So that's kind of nice, lets in a lot of light. It also, windows leak, like old homes or anything like that, they don't insulate, so the rooms can heat up more, they can cool down more when you get towards the winter time. So one thing to be careful with, if you have too many windows, it's a lot harder to heat and cool and make sure everyone stays comfortable. Some really nice features here, you can actually toggle the walls so you can actually see things going on. You can click it all the way to the point where there is no walls whatsoever, or you can leave it up if you want to have all the walls there. A lot of times I like to leave with the windows there, these walls down, that way you can at least see where doors are, you can see the rooms and see what people are doing. Just kind of gives it a nice view. So we'll start with that. So this is day one. Your CEO will actually show up on the next day. First day is for you to actually set up your office and get everything going that way. And let's get things going. So whenever we're ready, we're going to click on skip unused time and we'll get the day started. So the day will typically start an hour before your first person gets there until you, like, at a certain point we'll have people running morning to night, first, second, third shift, everything that way. So it's not something you really have to worry too much about, really, when that unused time, because eventually this button won't even work for us anymore. There are some pretty nice financial kind of overviews that you can see where your construction was. We spent $6,400 here. Of course, that is the start. We had to build the building, and then as we bring in contracts and as we do deals and things like that, that's where we'll start to see this number get offset. We'll make some money, and then we have our reputation. This reputation here is critical to the size of your contracts, the quality of the contract, and what you're doing. Your market recognition will be as you release tools, as you release operating systems or software, how well you're known in the market for those things. You'll see everything from a sad face if they're expecting something to come out, or you can have something that's a big smile when they know you for it, they love you for it, and that's just kind of how things go. So this should be our CEO here coming in. There he is. So I will typically pause here real quick, just initially, so it gives me a chance to go through the contracts over here. Development, this is where we can actually design our own software. We'll get into that here in a little bit. We're way too early for starting our first product. We're going to work on contracts, get a decent money in the bank for us, and then we can actually hire somebody and we can get into some more of the complex aspects of the game. So there's research for different patents, royalties if other companies use it. It's a nice way to bring in revenue. This will list out any of the software that we release. You can go in here and do everything from marketing, support. You can port to other people's operating systems that they have a good following, which makes it really, really nice to really manage and make sure your product stays out there and stays relevant. You can order copies, you can print copies. We'll get into all the copies and printing and all that as we get into our first application. And then you get into details of the actual, so it'll show you like reputation, how many units are sold, returns that were done, things that way. So there's project management. There's also HR hiring that comes a bit later in the game. You have your insurance policies. You know, any good company is going to have, some companies still to this day have pension plans. Some do, some don't. Personally, my company does not, but I will definitely funnel money in there as we get a nice surplus in the bank. That way it makes the employees happy. They want to stay. You get better quality candidates when you're hiring if they know the company's doing well. There's a whole aspect of stock and buying the other company's stock to see how well they're doing. And then we'll get into all the software, we'll get into all these aspects of the market, what's out there, what's coming up, and things that way. But let's jump in here and let's take a look at a contract. So game assets are usually heavy in art. We don't really have two artists at this point in time. I usually start with the embedded systems. Minimal lines of code. Our CEO is typically pretty decent out the gate with these, and $8,000, $11,000, $10,000. They're pretty decent. There's a lot of aspects in here that you want to keep an eye on as you're accepting these. Really one designer, one programmer. You have 1 month, which is 2 days to do it. So each month is split into 2 days is how we set it up. So then you want to make sure that you have definitely time to debug. You get charged $40 per bug. That can add up very quickly if you don't do very much debugging. Your late penalty, it's usually roughly, I want to say like 40% of the actual overall value of the entire contract. And they're expecting horrible quality from us. I love to put out outstanding quality software when I do this. So in the design, I will let it go all the way up and not keep it at horrible. Technically, does it take away from some other things? It can, but it usually makes your reputation go up a lot quicker if you do outstanding, even though they're expecting horrible. So I like to get these stars filled as fast as I can, because then these contracts go from like $11,000 to like $200,000, which is really, really nice. So right now we don't have anything for source control management. As we get a little bit more money, I'll put an actual server in and we can do some source control. It just really helps reduce your bugs, typical sort of source control kind of thing. So we're going to take this contract. This is just a clock, so a very basic application. So we get $974 up front for accepting the contract. Right here is where you can assign as you get more teams. Right now it's just us, so we're just in the core team. And we're set to any role. So we'll actually do design, we'll do programming, we'll market, we'll do art, everything at this point. Typically like any starting company would be. So here we go, and we'll get this moving. I like to initially run on triple speed. This game would be probably incredibly dragging if we ran it on just regular speed. So as you can see, it goes very, very slow. And we don't really want to do that. So let's jump this. We're going to develop it. So you want to make sure you don't let it go down too much. So he's actually gone for the day. So a really nice thing is that we can just take this and go, hey, we don't need to wait through that time. We can skip it, jump right to 7 a.m. and our guy's back. So we do have a day left right now on this code. We will most likely finish this up. It is noon. We will promote it over to start debugging now. So right now you can see that we went about 125 lines over. You don't really on these contracts want to spend too much time going over that. As you're developing your own software, you'll see lines of code in the 200,000s. I mean, that's where you really get into some crazy lines. These initial contracts, I usually try to get right to the lines of code that they're expecting, push it over out of alpha into debug, and then we'll release it tomorrow actually. So he'll go home for the day, we'll do a bunch of debugging tomorrow, and at the end of the day we'll release it so that they're happy and we did it on time. So yep, we're gonna send it on. There's always a short delay, and then it'll go into the beta fixing. So right now we're at 6 bugs. There's nothing that we've seen so far that really gives an idea of how many bugs are potentially in the application. I typically like to let this run as far as I can to really try to capture as much as possible. So let's see, we're 10 o'clock, 17 bugs in. When we actually go to release this thing here at the end of the day when he leaves, which we can. Okay, we're going to pause it real quick. We are going to release it. Okay, so we got $9,632. So if we go back in the contracts, you can see how well we did. So right here, we actually still had 13 bugs in the application. So that took 500 bucks off. But we did deliver it on time, so we still made a pretty decent profit on it overall. That's where this is really where the bug penalty, because we don't really have an idea of how many bugs were potentially in there, it makes it a little bit difficult to really determine how close you are to making that like 100% of a contract. But they're expecting an application that was horrible quality. We sent them one that was outstanding, so still happy, still make good money. But as you can see, we completed a contract. We are going to get some additional contracts in here. So an embedded system, this is very similar to what we just had. So we will be good there. Let's see what we have. Logistics, command line. These are all command line, horrible, 4,100 lines. I'm going to say let's go with the good money here. We will accept that. And let's see if, I believe they fixed this bug in a recent release, but we're going to check. Before, if you actually accepted the application today, when it turned over to tomorrow, you'd actually lose part of a day. So I want to double check that. I'm pretty sure they did fix this. So it'll sit in waiting until he actually comes in to accept it. And then we will see how it goes. So let's jump to the next day. And yes, okay, good. I thought they fixed that, but before it would have actually said 1 day left because we started it the previous day. That was troublesome for a little while because I was notorious for picking it up at the end of the day because I finished one out and then I'd lose a day over and over, and it was annoying. So here we go. Oh, and we'll skip time, make that a little bit better for you guys, and here we go. So we're plowing through this code. It's only noon and we're going to finish this thing up, promote it, boom. So you can always slow it down if you really wanted to get to like right to that 0 point, but when you go 100 lines over, as you can see, we still make great money on it. So nothing to worry about there. You'll gradually start to see this next star fill up green as we gain reputation from completing these contracts. I will typically wait before I hire my first employee till I get to roughly about $100,000 in the bank. It's kind of where I've always felt comfortable. It's what really worked out best in past playthroughs that I've done. We're going to release this now. Nice, 11,000. So we can actually go look at another contract real quick. Let's see what we got. Command line, 4,200 lines. We will take that on. And let's jump to the beginning. Sometimes it's nice when you have that time in the middle of the night like we just did. You can actually pick out your next contract you're going to work on and then have it ready right when he comes in. Boom, develop. So, and then we'll actually pause here shortly after this one. We'll go home, bring it back. So as you can start to see, there's some dirt from where he's walking. That will start to affect their mood if it gets too dirty. And you just want to make sure we'll bring in a cleaner and clean it up and everything. Make sure things look nice and pretty for them. So as you can see, we pretty quickly gain cash. We're up to 25,000 now. I mean, when you have contracts that are $12,000 a hit, it's really nice and pretty quick to grab some cash that way. Let's pause real quick. I'll kind of show you these this menu here for your finances. It's kind of a nice breakdown. It'll really show you that, you know, you made 10,000 here. You can kind of see what's happening. Your bills, here's where everything's breaking out. So if you start to see like something for some reason is really expensive in your bills, you're getting tight on money because you're getting close to a release of an application, you can start to see going, oh, hey, you know, what is going crazy? Do I have something that's, do I have too many people hired for maintenance and they're just sitting around? Can we get rid of somebody that way? And I think maintenance guys are like $2,500 a month. So you can really start to see where you can make some improvements in that regard there. So let's see here. That's that. We'll jump back real quick. We're at the beginning of the day. We'll get these bugs fixed up. We'll get this released. And actually, while we're doing that, we'll quickly we'll do some temporary service for cleaning. You'll see a lady come in and clean up real quick. And we will release this. Another 11,000. Pause there. So as you can see, we're starting a little sliver of green here, which is working out pretty nice. Our CEO is doing well, handling these contracts like a champ. More things are coming in. We're going to keep working on these. I'll probably go put a source control server in here shortly. Actually, I'll probably do that now. We'll just jump right in here to the menu, get a table down. That. And we'll type in server. So as you can see, there's a variety of different servers. 1985 will get a medium server, which handles better bandwidth, all the way up to the big rack servers. I mean, these things handle some massive output, and that gets really, really fun. You can build server farms, do hosting, and a lot of contract stuff. We'll get to some of that later, but that works out pretty nice. And we'll put, oh, let's move this because that will dry. I did it twice. Thank you. There we go. Now it's actually faced the right direction. We'll go in here. We're going to change it. My SCM servers, I am very, very clever. I just call it SCM. When we get to some of the other server farm stuff as we get there later, I get a little more clever in the naming conventions just because you can get fun with it and have a good time. So at that point, we're actually going to take a break here. We'll come back in the next video. We'll grab some more contracts. We'll get ourselves up. We'll probably hire another employee in the next video, depending on how we're doing at these contract rate. Yeah, we'll probably hire somebody in the next video. We'll look through that whole process and what that takes and get them assigned to something and kind of keep things moving that way. But definitely please hit a like on the videos. Tell me if there's anything you want to see me do. If there's if you know anything about the actual application, if you want me to like go down the line of audio tools, or if you want to see us do like an operating system, if there's something you want to see or questions you have, definitely leave those in the comments below. Again, I'll put a link to Steam of where this game is located. The developers have done a phenomenal job working with this game. It's a very fun game. I've lost many hours into it, and again, just definitely if you're interested, check it out. It's worth it, and get pretty clever with what you're doing. So everything from the design and how you want to manage things to who you're hiring and what kind of direction you go with your company. So with that being said, thank you, and we will be back for the next video here shortly.